Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, His Excellency the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs participates in the International Conference of Safeguarding Endangered Cultural Heritage in Abu Dhabi. The Sultanate review its political principles in the International Forum for the Mediterranean Dialogues in Rome. A ceremony to mark the 33rd anniversary of the inauguration of His Majesty as the Supreme Scout of the Sultanate is organized in the Governorate of Al Buremi. Good evening once again. Those were the headlines, and now the news, live from the news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. We begin with this story. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, took part in the conclusion of the Conference on Safeguarding Endangered Cultural Heritage held in Abu Dhabi. In the final communique of the conference, more than 40 countries and international organizations announced its commitment to establish a fund for mechanisms to safeguard archaeological sites in conflict areas. The fund will work to finance preventive and emergency operations and combating illegal trafficking of archaeological items. It also will contribute to renovation of damaged cultural belongings. The participants also affirmed their commitments to establish an international safe havens network that enable countries to protect its archaeological items on their land through moving them to safe places in case of conflicts or moving them to a neighboring country if it is necessary. The Sultanate took part in the Mediterranean Dialogues in Rome in its second edition under the theme Beyond the Turmoil, a Positive Agenda. The event was attended by His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamad bin Hamoud Al Busaidi, Secretary General of the Foreign Ministry. Along with the Sultanate, it was also attended by Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Turkey and the European Union. It aimed to formulate a joint vision to stimulate new ideas on security issues at the Mediterranean and the Middle East. The Mediterranean Dialogues also hoped to explore a new phase of dialogues with positive agenda that seek to go beyond crisis in the two regions and build a new region system based on cooperation and prosperity sharing. In the Governorate of Al Buremi, a ceremony was held to mark the 33rd anniversary of the inauguration of His Majesty the Sultan as the Supreme Scout of the Sultanate. The event highlighted the values and principles of scouting work. During the celebration, the results of the scouting competition in the Governorate was announced and the winners were honored. Also, the event witnessed the joining ceremonies of a new number of scouts and guides from schools of the Governorate who performed the scouting oath and allegiance. Still to come in our news bulletin. London sales of goods eligible for sale tax exemption have gone up by a third since the Brexit vote in June, which plunged the value of the pound relative to the euro and dollar. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Syria warplanes, artillery and mortar rounds pounded areas in eastern Aleppo today, drawing rebels' rockets as government troops gained new ground in shrinking opposition-held enclave. After 4 years of holding nearly half of the divided city, rebel fighters have been increasingly squeezed into the center of the eastern enclave. Footage broadcast by the government-controlled Al-Ikhbariya television claimed to show government artillery and armored vehicles firing at alleged rebel-held areas in eastern Aleppo. State media reported that government and allied troops have moved in on new neighborhoods, pushing 1 kilometer deeper into the enclave from the far east. A drone footage taken by the Associated Press over the ancient northern Iraqi site of Nimrud shows the extent of the damage it suffered at the hands of Daesh group militants. The head of the Heritage Building Department at the Nineveh Antiquities Directorate, who had recently visited Nimrud, said up to 70% of the site had been damaged. But she added that because so much of the rubble had been left on the site, it was possible to reconstruct it to what it looked like before, but it would take years and cost millions of dollars. UNESCO, the United Nations Cultural Agency, has already offered help, which will be used to put a fence around and guard the site as it's now completely unprotected. Nimrud, also known as Kalhu, is an ancient Assyrian city located 20 miles south of Mosul. It was a flourishing population center until the 7th century BC. The bodies of the Champions soccer team who were killed in a tragic plane crash on the way to the biggest game of the team's history arrived to their hometown today. Brazilian President Michel Temer was on hand to receive the bodies as they were wheeled from military planes and down a red carpet. A ceremony will be held later at the team stadium in Chapeco, a small agricultural town in southern Brazil and home to the team. The air disaster claimed the lives of 71 people and almost completely wiped out the team. The crash on Monday night shocked soccer fans and the world over and plunged Brazil, South America's biggest nation, into mourning. Only 6 people survived, including just 3 members of the soccer team en route to the Copa Sudamericana final, the biggest game in its history. Foreign visitors and the London Tourist Board are two beneficiaries in the wake of Brexit, as bargain-hungry tourists take advantage of the weak pound, which has plummeted since the European Union membership referendum in June. More details in the following report.
Catching a bargain while they can. Hordes of tourists are flooding the British capital, taking advantage of the weak pound, which has plummeted since the EU referendum in June, paradoxically voted for by many to stem the flow of influx of foreigners into the UK.
It's obvious that the prices are very good for us, so we shop and we already can afford to eat on small cafes, drink outside. I mean, that was not possible years ago.
I'm mainly here to see the city, but yes, I am going to buy things. I've just come out of a shop.
Londoners voted decisively for the Remain camp, but the tourist industry here is making the most of the situation.
We calculate that over the last 4 months it's been about 12% cheaper for Europeans to come and shop here, so there's never been a better time to travel to London for Europeans.
It's not just Europeans who are cashing in, as workers in this store of luxury products made in the US have noticed.
Ironically, we realised that it actually happens to be cheaper for the American tourist to buy the American product in London, considering the pound is the weakest since 1985. And then also it's affected by the fact that they can claim the VAT.
Prime Minister Theresa May wants to begin divorce proceedings with the European Union by March 2017. But it'll be a long process. Ongoing economic uncertainty will likely keep the pound low for a while yet, much to the joy of visiting shoppers.
Now for the general weather focused around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of low clouds and fog over the governorate of Al-Wusta, Dhofar and Al-Buremi. Winds will be northeasterly light to moderate over the coast of the Arabian Sea, while on the rest of the Sultanate it will be north to northeast westerly light to moderate. Seas will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, His Excellency, the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, participates in the International Conference of Safeguarding Endangered Cultural Heritage in Abu Dhabi. The Sultanate review its political principles in the International Forum for the Mediterranean Dialogues in Rome. A ceremony to mark the 33rd anniversary of the inauguration of His Majesty as the Supreme Scout of the Sultanate is organized in the Governorate of Al Buremi. With that, we come to an end of tonight's news bulletin. Live from the news center of the Sultanate of Oman, we all thank you for joining us, wish you a pleasant evening and good night.